Okay, so the second talk in this series, Shane DEVEREUX, going to talk to us about VAR and phonology in Waic perspective. Thank you.
Thank you for attending this talk. I'm going to talk about the people who call themselves Va, and outsiders call them N, and when they're referring to themselves using a language of wider communication, they also call themselves N. And these people are not very well documented, their language is not well documented. And what I want to find out is, what is their phonology like in their language? How are they related to other languages that are in the same family? And where did these people come from originally? They live in eastern Shan State, Myanmar. The population is between 6,000 and 7,000 as an estimate, and they're living in about 30 villages. And this is the current classification. They're a phonologic language, Waic, and they're not classified. They don't have an ISO code, but they're listed as a dialect of Parawa. And to give you an idea of Shan State, it's in eastern Myanmar, and we're looking at this area near Jiangdong is where the villages are located. And I plotted 12 villages on this map. There's 3 village clusters, and each one has 4 different points on it. They're clustered closely. This is what I want to talk about. Explain a bit about the existing literature on N, Parawa, and a variety called Yingla Va in China. Then introduce a new phonological analysis of N, compare the 3 phonologies, and then suggest a classification of N that's different from the current one. And I would contend that N is closer to Yingla Va than Parauk, and it's probably better used with Yingla in what is now Awa. The first mention of N is in Scott and Hardiman, the gazetteer of Upper Burma and the Shan States. There's a word list. It's a bit rough, and some historical anthropological data. And even at this early stage, you can see that Scott and Hardiman have recorded that the N, they repudiate any connection with the Wa. And so this is an early indicator that maybe there's something different. Diploff mentions N. He's using the data from Scott and Hardiman. It's listed as a language on the official census of Myanmar, number 110. And in Ethnologue, it's not listed as a separate language, but as a dialect, as I mentioned, of Parawa, and spelling it I-E-N. And you'll see it written in various places with these 4 different spellings, like online sources of various kinds. There's been a bit of investigation of lexical similarity between N and Parawa. So in one village, it was found to be 80% similar, though there's very low mutual comprehension. So doing a recorded text test using Parawa in an N village, the N people could not understand very well. In these 8 villages here mentioned, there's only 8.6 correct response rates on average in a recorded text test. The largest body of data on N so far is from Tadahiko Shintani, 2016. He's got a sketch phonology based on a word list, and he's proposing a 2-tone system, high and low. But he doesn't have much geographic, cultural information on the people, and he's saying it's good if some future scholars have an opportunity to update this, so that's what I'm hoping to contribute to. And he doesn't, as I mentioned, give a location for the speaker, so I can't replicate his findings, but based on my own research, from a speaker in the same general area, I find a different tonal system, and that's what I want to talk about today. This is his, these are the phonemes that Shintani gives, the initials. The finals are in yellow, and the orange bits are places where my data differs. So I have a voiceless aspirated stop series in my data, and there's a couple other phonemes that are different in mine. This is the monophthongs. Again, the orange is just one different from what I had. I've got two back unrounded vowels. This is the main points here I wanted to draw. So Shintani has, he's got high and low, but I'm finding a mid as well. Mid, high, and low with breathy phonation. Now going to Paraguay, this is where it's located, eastern Shan states, northern Shan states, and into Yunnan province of China. And these are the Paraguay phonemes from Watkins. Again, the orange is where my data differs. For the voice initials, the Paraguay has an aspirated and unaspirated versions, but N doesn't have that. And for a while, the super segmental system is binary. So Watkins used the terms clear and breathy for the two-way register distinction. And there's an example squirrel in writing. One's clear and one's breathy. Going to the other variety I want to look at, Yingla Va. This is from Jackson Soon and found in China. And it's considered in China as a dialect of Awa, which is VWA-ISO. Though Soon says the construct Awa lumps together distinct lects whose alleged unity has never been demonstrated. And so Yingla, the Va spoken in this village, Yingla, is grouped under Awa, but he's saying that it's sort of a grab bag term that has a bunch of distinct languages in it. This is the location of that village in southwestern China. And it's just, you'll notice, north of the area where I'm saying the N people live. And these are the phonemes that he gives. The orange bits are just where my data differs a little bit, but you see it's quite a lot of overlap. And he has a three-way tonal contrast, similar to what I mentioned about my data, and in distinction to what Shintani gives for N. For my own data collection, I used about 1,500 words to do the analysis. Collected the data in Thailand from a speaker located near Jiangdong, about 40 minutes north. And I also conducted a participatory workshop with community members in Thailand to help them understand the phonology of their own language, and also to see if I could refine my own data a bit, my own findings, which I did. These are the consonants, initials, and the finals in yellow that I found, and the monophthongs. And these are the diphthongs that I found. And the red ones are shared by Barao Wa. And then in Baroque, there's two of them that are not found in N mentioned there. And this is the super segmental system that I found, three-way contrast. And I'm still not sure about this, but I suspect that both pitch and phonation are playing a role in as cues. I'm working on that right now to sort that out. Brian and I are doing some work on that. So there's a mid tone that falls, or mid pitch falling, sort of a rising one going up to high, and then a low breathy. And just a brief summary of the comparison between Parauk and N. The consonants basically the same. N is a subset of Parauk. As I mentioned, Parauk has the unaspirated and aspirated version of each of the voiced initials. Monophthongs, equivalents, complex vowels are about the same, but the big difference is the two-way super segmental contrast. Wa having the breathy and clear, and having the three-way contrast, at least what I've found. And then Yingla Va and N The segmental phonology roughly the same, but what I found striking was it has the identical super segmental system. And what I want to argue is at least propose that and the N people living in Myanmar originally came from that area in China where the Yingla live. And the evidence for that is the tonal similarity, an oral history of movements, and then looking at the map, how the villages are laid out. So again, here's a summary of the super-segmental systems of these 4 varieties that I mentioned. You'll notice that Yingla Va and N, as I've looked at it, have this 3-way contrast, whereas Shintani just has the high and the low, and then Parauk has the clear and the breathy. So I'm saying these 2 are looking the same. And then looking at some historical data that I found when speaking to a community member, he said that when he was talking to villages in the northern village area closer to China, that there was this history of taxation in China where they lived, and that they were required to give these lots of firewood and thatch and pine wood as like tributes, and they didn't want to do that, so they left. And so the northern village area is near Mein Ket right here, which is just I just did a Google Maps kind of from Yingla down to the southern area to see possibly if there was a route they could have taken just south. So these people say they came from China, and then the people near Jiangdong say they came from Mein Ket area. And then I'm not sure, I haven't asked these people yet, but I assume they probably came from the Jiangdong area. There's also a village down here near Mein Set. So that's what I'm thinking. There's probably a southern migration route. And this is just looking at in China from Yingla village down to the border which is closest to the area in Myanmar where they live. There's kind of a straight path through the valleys, which is a plausible way they might have gone. It's speculative right now, but I'm just trying to figure out how this could have happened. Here's a few suggestions for future research directions. Pursue some more comprehension testing between N and Awa varieties like Yingla Va to establish the extent of mutual intelligibility, and then to continue this phonological lexical comparison. And right now, N is grouped under Parauk Wa, at least in the ethnologue, and the Wa people themselves, Parauk, they consider N as part of them as well. So I think it's probably better if we would group it with Awa instead, or consider creating a new code for N and the Va spoken in Yingla as a new a new language designation. These are my references. Thank you.
Well, it was delivered very smartly and quickly. We have plenty of time for discussion if